The crowd outside the Super Save Market in the rundown district of South Shore, Chicago, stood frozen, their eyes fixed on a Rolls-Royce Ghost that had silently pulled up to the curb. The sleek, midnight blue vehicle looked utterly out of place against the peeling paint and dusty asphalt. No one was prepared for the woman who emerged. She was tall and incandescent, her figure sculpted by an elegant cream-colored silk jumpsuit. Her silver heels clicked a confident rhythm on the uneven pavement, and her very presence was a magnetic force. This was Madison Hayes. Everyone knew the name. She wasn't just wealthy, she was the Madison Hayes, the visionary billionaire tech CEO, America's software titan, the mastermind behind M-Tech Global, a face consistently on the cover of Forbes. She was the icon every aspiring entrepreneur studied. But Madison wasn't here for a ribbon cutting or a press conference. She walked straight toward a homeless man sitting on a milk crate near a stack of discarded pallets. His face was obscured by a massive, tangled beard and an unruly mass of graying hair. He wore a tattered, all-stained brown coat over a faded green thermal shirt, a look of profound, entrenched poverty. A heavy, ragged black duffel bag, which seemed to hold his entire existence, rested beside him. He looked up slowly, confusion clouding his weary eyes. No one of her caliber ever noticed him. Madison paused directly in front of him and offered a gentle, genuine smile. "My name is Madison," she said, her voice soft yet carrying the authority of a boardroom. The man blinked, his gaze unfocused. Jacob Atlas." Then, Madison delivered the unthinkable, causing audible gasps in the gathering crowd. "I've seen you here before," she continued. "You speak with the logic of a scholar. You talk about market data and systemic infrastructure like someone who used to live in that world. I don't know your story or your past, but I believe deep down that you just need a second chance." She took a steadying breath, her heart hammering against the silk of her jumpsuit. "So, I'm going to ask you something truly insane. Will you marry me?" The street fell into an absolute, deafening silence. Jacob's mouth gaped. He shook his head, trying to process the sound and meaning of her words. Then, a sad, knowing smile touched his lips. "If you genuinely mean that," he said, his voice rusty from disuse, "go into that market, buy a ring, come back out, kneel down, and ask me like you're not joking." A wave of shocked disbelief rippled through the onlookers. Is he insane? Who rejects a woman like that? Madison, however, didn't hesitate. She turned and walked calmly into the Super Safe. 5 minutes later, she returned. In her hand, a small, velvet box held a diamond ring that likely cost more than the entire block. Without a pause, in front of the dozens of stunned strangers and their recording phones, the billionaire CEO bent one knee on the dirty pavement. "Jacob Atlas." Her voice was steady but imbued with deep conviction. "Will you marry me?" He froze. People were filming, a few wiped tears, others laughed nervously. Jacob looked down at this impossibly stunning, impossibly successful woman who saw something in his dirt, his weakness, and his pain. Slowly, he nodded. "Yes," he whispered. She slid the magnificent ring onto his calloused finger. He stared at the diamond, a single tear tracing a clean line through the grime on his cheek. "Now," Madison smiled, standing up. "Get in the car." He hesitated, looking at his filthy pants, smelling his own stench, seeing the grit caked under his fingernails. "I'll ruin your seat," he mumbled. "I don't care," she stated simply. He stood up, stiffly, like a man rising from a deep sleep, and stepped into the luxury of the Rolls-Royce, leaving behind the only life he had known for years. His old life was over. His new life was just beginning. The transformation and the truth. The Rolls-Royce glided into the glittering heart of Manhattan, the skyscraper sparkling like jewels. Jacob sat rigidly, clutching his duffel bag, his eyes darting between the passing grandeur and Madison's composed profile. Just this morning, he was a ghost. Now, he was engaged to one of the world's most admired women. "We're making a stop," Madison said, reading his tension. "First, we get you some dignity." She parked outside a boutique studio In the meatpacking district, a luxury grooming lounge, called the Sovereign. Inside, the space gleamed with marble, gold accents, and mahogany. A doorman in a crisp jacket paused when he saw Jacob. "He's with me," Madison said, and that was all the authorization needed. For the next hour, Jacob was utterly still as a team of professionals worked on him. Barbers clipped and washed away years of grime. The massive beard was meticulously trimmed and shaped, and his hair was styled until it looked polished and refined. When they handed him a mirror, he didn't recognize the man staring back, a sharp jawline, high cheekbones, and dark, intelligent eyes that now held a faint, new fire. He was handed a new outfit, a tailored navy blazer, a crisp white shirt, charcoal trousers, and polished leather loafers. When he emerged, Madison gasped, a genuine reaction of surprise and pride. The scruffy homeless man was gone, replaced by a man of commanding presence. "That," she smiled, "is the man I knew was under there." Jacob touched his face. "I feel like I just came back to life." "You haven't seen anything yet," she promised. They drove to her residence. As they approached, Jacob's eyes widened. "This is your house?" "No," Madison smiled. "It's our home now." The gates opened to reveal a massive, glass and limestone mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. Inside, the house smelled of fresh lilies and mahogany. On the grand staircase, a small girl with bright, curly hair and sleepy eyes stood waiting. "Mommy, who is that?" she asked, rubbing her eyes. "This is my friend, Sophia," Madison said, kneeling. "His name is Jacob, and guess what? He's going to be spending a lot of time with us." Sophia studied him. "Are you a good person?" Jacob chuckled softly, the sound rusty but real. "In trying to be." "Then you can stay," she decided. That night, after a quiet, comfortable meal that Jacob savored with deep, silent appreciation, Madison joined him on the balcony overlooking the twinkling lights of the Long Island Sound. 2 glasses of wine sat between them. "Now," she said gently, "tell me, who are you, Jacob Atlas?" He looked at the diamond on his hand for a long time. "My name is Jacob Atlas. I was one of the top data scientists on the East Coast. I built predictive models for major banks and government agencies. I was respected. I had a wife, Claire, and 2 beautiful children, Ethan and Leah. Life was perfect. Until one December." He swallowed hard. "They were flying to a family Christmas in Aspen. I was supposed to follow the next day. The plane, it went down. No survivors." His voice broke. "I lost everything in one day. I didn't want money, or friends, or even to breathe. I walked out of my life and never went back. And I've been under that bridge ever since." Tears streamed down Madison's cheeks. "I know that pain," she whispered. "I lost my parents in a boating accident, and then my husband, Sophia's father, disappeared when she was just 2. He was never found. 4 years, I just waited. I had to finally accept he was never coming back." Jacob was stunned. "You built all this after that?" She nodded. "I had to live for Sophia. And for me." "You're a fighter," he murmured. "So are you," she countered. They sat in silence, a shared understanding of profound loss connecting them. For the first time in years, Jacob didn't just feel alive, he felt the faintest desire to live again. A new life and a real proposal the next morning. Jacob didn't wait to the clamor of the city bridge, but to sunlight, bird song, and the scent of fresh pastries. He was, undeniably, home. He joined Madison for breakfast. She was already dressed in a sleek power suit, her laptop open next to a plate of fresh fruit. "Good morning," she said warmly. "Morning," he replied. "This spread. It's been a long time." "Then eat up," she said, closing her laptop. "You're going to need your strength." He gave her a curious look. "Where are we going?" Madison leaned back. "Nowhere. You're starting work today." Jacob nearly choked on his coffee. "Work? I didn't propose out of charity, Jacob. I meant it. I saw a mind too brilliant to waste. MTech Global needs someone like you." "In Rusty. I haven't coded in years," he protested, his hands trembling slightly. Then you'll polish up fast, she countered gently. That skill doesn't vanish. You just need someone to remind you who you are. He looked down, fear battling a terrifying flicker of hope. I don't know if I'm ready. I do, she said softly. Trust me. That afternoon, Jacob walked into the gleaming MTech headquarters in Midtown. Nick. Heads turned, whispers followed. But Madison walked him straight to the executive floor and opened the door to a spacious, sunlit office with 3 monitors and a whiteboard covered in complex data charts. A small plaque on the desk read, "Welcome, Mr. Atlas, Head of Data Intelligence. This is for me," he whispered. From today, she affirmed, Jacob began a relentless process of rediscovery. The software had evolved, but his instincts were still razor sharp. Within weeks, he was identifying system flaws and optimization opportunities that saved the company millions. Madison watched him from her office with quiet pride. The former ghost was not just surviving, he was thriving. He gave talks at industry conferences and mentored young analysts. Weeks turned into months. Madison was laughing more, smiling deeper. She and Jacob spent evenings on the balcony with Sophia, talking, sharing, healing. One rainy night, Jacob looked at Madison. "Why did you say yes to me that day?" He chuckled. "I thought you were crazy. But there was a light in your eyes, courage, maybe grace, and I needed it. But I didn't truly believe you. That's why I made that ridiculous demand. I wanted to see if you'd actually kneel." Madison tilted her head. "And now?" He took her hand, his gaze intensely loving. "Now I know you were an angel in disguise." A few days later, during a late dinner on the mansion's rooftop terrace, Jacob stood up. "Madison," he began, his voice surprisingly firm, "I have something to say." He reached into his pocket and, with a move that stunned the staff watching from the doorway, he knelt down. He held up a platinum ring, catching the city lights. "I didn't believe in anything when you found me. But you made me believe again. You gave me my life back. You gave me a reason to be a father again. You gave me a reason to love again." His voice trembled with overwhelming emotion. "Now I want to do it the right way. Madison Hayes, will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes. "Yes," she whispered, smiling through them. 1,000 times, yes. A legacy built on grace. 2 months later, Madison and Jacob had a stunning wedding at the Plaza Hotel in New York. A fusion of high-tech elegance and heartfelt emotion. The media called it a love story written by grace. 3 years later, Jacob was the co-CEO of MTech Global, which had expanded globally under their joint vision. Jacob had found his purpose, and Madison had found her partner. But the greatest joy was the sound of a heartbeat. Madison was pregnant. They welcomed a baby boy, whom they named William Liam Hazenew beginning. Sophia, now a bright-eyed 7-year-old, embraced her role as big sister. Their home was complete. Years passed. Sophia graduated early from Yale as a top medical doctor. She met and fell in love with Owen Chen, a rising star in biomedical engineering. At Sophia's 21st birthday party, Owen proposed, and once again, the Hayes Atlas family cried tears of joy. At Sophia and Owen's magnificent wedding, Jacob stood up to give a toast that left the room in stunned silence. 10 years ago, he began, his voice calm, yet resonating with conviction. "I lived under a bridge. I had lost my wife, my children, my parents, and myself. I had given up on life." He turned to Madison. "Then, an angel found me. She didn't just change my life, she gave me a new one. She didn't see a homeless man, she saw a man who still had something to give. And through her, I found love, I found family, and I found home." He looked at Sophia. "Today, I get to stand here and watch her daughter begin her own journey, full of love and hope. My life has come full circle." The applause that followed was deafening, a testament to the power of their redemption. The Atlas Foundation, as their success grew, a new dream stirred in Madison's heart. One evening, she gathered the family: Sophia, Owen, their new baby girl Mara, meaning grace, Jacob, and little Liam. "It's time to do more," Madison announced. Tech has transformed businesses. Now, I want to create something for people like Jacob once was. She turned to him, her eyes shining. I want to launch the Atlas Foundation, a place that gives second chances, that finds the forgotten and reminds them they are not useless. It will train and employ the homeless, veterans, and orphans in tech, design, and business. It will tell them, your story isn't over yet. Jacob was speechless, tears forming in his eyes. 3 months later, the Atlas Foundation was launched in the heart of Brooklyn, a sprawling facility with computer labs, dormitories, and startup incubators. At the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Madison stood before the crowd, her voice strong. This place is not charity, she declared. It is justice. It is a reminder that no human being is too far gone to be redeemed. I was celebrated, but I was also broken once. So was Jacob. And now, look what we have done. Jacob stepped forward to add, when I lost everything, I lost myself. This foundation is about giving people a reason to live again. Years passed. The Atlas Foundation expanded across Earth. Madison and Jacob became global symbols of hope. One quiet morning, sitting on a garden bench, their hands older but still intertwined, Jacob smiled. I used to think God forgot about me, he said softly. Now, I think he was just preparing me. Madison leaned her head on his shoulder. Everything was leading here. Just then, little Amara, Sophie's daughter, ran up, holding a drawing. It was a sketch of a woman kneeling before a man, with the caption, "Love begins where pride ends." Jacob chuckled. She gets it. Madison kissed the girl's forehead. She comes from it. And so, their epic American love story, a testament to redemption, purpose, and the extraordinary power of a single act of belief, continued its beautiful, unfolding grace.